and good morning to you and your
Hello.
friends and your family and your neighbors and your dog.
And your cat if you have cats.
And your cat. Yeah.
Although I don't really care about cats that much, but it's okay.
I mean,
I do have two cats.
Two cats.
But, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a Monday today.
It is a Monday. And you know what Monday it is?
What what Monday is
It is Awkward Brunch Monday.
Awkward Brunch Monday.
Awkward
huh?
Brunch Monday. It's
What?
my favorite holiday to celebrate. To be real, I actually don't really celebrate it, but I want to celebrate it now. So it's the day after Easter, where all the disciples are, they still think that Jesus is dead. And they go out fishing because they're fishermen, and that's just what they do when they're sad. And so they're out fishing, plus they need money. So that's kind of just their job, their fallback plan, essentially. And so they're out fishing, not catching anything all night. Then randomly, this dude comes up. It's like the 5th time he's ever done this to them, too, which is kind of funny that they didn't get the point right away. But he's like, hey, try throwing your net on the other side. And they're like, we've been fishing here all night. There's no fish to be found. And he's like, just do it. And they're like, okay, fine, whatever. So they throw their net on the other side. Magically, they catch fish. And then they're like, you must be the Son of God. And he was like, I sure am. They're like, well, this is awkward. We thought you were dead. And then they take their boat to the shore, put a little campfire out, and then start having breakfast with him. But because all they've been doing is fishing, they have fish for breakfast. And have a very awkward conversation about how he was dead, now he's not dead, and what happened, why it happened, and who he is. So it was a really awkward breakfast, and so it's Awkward Brunch Monday.
You know, of any food that I can think about that would be really awkward to eat for breakfast, it would be fish.
Oh yeah, that would be the most awkward breakfast.
Can you imagine,
food.
like, you wake up in the morning and, like, somebody's making you breakfast and you get out and they just have, like, halibut.
You want some fish and chips?
Just like, they've just got it just chilling there and you're just like, what? It's like 9 a.m. You're like, where's the eggs and bacon at?
Right.
You know? What you
Some
trying
French
to
toast
do?
maybe. Maybe some eggs with the fish. At least some
Awkward.
fish eggs.
Awkward Brunch Monday.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it.
It's a great way to celebrate. You just awkwardly have brunch with somebody.
You just call up an ex and
Yeah.
you're just like, hey.
And you just awkwardly sit there in quiet, having brunch, staring at each other. And what's great about doing it this year is the whole social distancing thing.
Right.
So making sure that you guys are 6 feet apart, and you can just get to stare at the other person the whole time while
You
having
just
brunch.
6 feet, just no words.
Nope, just
Have brunch. That is the creepiest stare of my life. Why you gotta slurp?
to make it awkward.
Okay.
But hey,
Oh,
you know what's not that awkward?
what isn't that awkward?
The Bible.
It is not. You're right.
So let's jump into the Bible,
I
everybody.
mean, to be honest, there's a lot of awkward.
Yeah, that's
things
true. The
that
Bible
happen
can
in
be
the
very
Bible.
awkward at times.
It's like,
Especially depending on what version you read, every word can be awkward too.
it's true. Like, remember when David's like Saul and he's like, "You're my dad," and he's like, he's like, "I'm gonna kill you."
There's a lot of awkward stories with David.
Oh my gosh.
Quite a few. He
Yeah, he didn't
once
actually-
danced naked in front of the Ark of the Covenant.
Wow, David was an awkward guy.
He really was.
David really is.
He's my man.
He's your guy.
He's my man. I love David.
Speaking of David and person who wrote most of the Psalms, we are in
Yes, we're in the Psalms.
Psalms.
Psalms,
We're
bruh.
in Psalms. I know we've been doing lots of Psalms lately,
They're
but
the
it's
best.
it's the biggest, longest book in the Bible, and it's just very good.
But it really is.
So where are we
at?
today?
We are in Psalms 84.
84.
Psalms 84.
Verse 5
Verse 5.
through verse 7.
Verse 7.
That was a quick little...
Yeah.
I didn't do it right.
I've had practice.
So Psalm 84, verse 5 through verse 7. We're just going to start reading.
Let's just jump into it.
Blessed are those whose strength is in you, who have set their hearts on pilgrimage. As they pass through the valley of Baca, they make it a place of springs. The autumn rains also cover it with pools. They go from strength to strength as they each appear before God in Zion.
So good.
Such a good verse.
It really is.
I mean, when you really dive into what this verse is talking about, it's just got such a powerful message to it. What do you think about that, Lance?
Well, I love Psalms 84 in general. I was reading a little bit of it today just to kind of, actually I read all of Psalms 84 in preparation for today. And what I really love about this psalm is it's really about the presence of God and just how great and wonderful his presence is. It starts off Psalms 84 by talking about how lovely it is and how blessed are the people who just get to be in his presence.
Right.
And then it ends the psalm by talking about how even a day as being the doorkeeper of his courts is significantly better than being like a high-ranking official anywhere else in the world, essentially.
Right.
It uses slightly different words, but that's essentially what it's saying about how amazing it is to be a lowly servant in his presence than it is to just be anywhere else, be anyone else, anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Like, that's how good his presence is. And in these verses, in verse 5 through 7, it really kind of highlights that. It talks about how even in the valley of Baca, his presence sustains and it strengthens, and it's his strength that really brings them through. But yet, it's not just that it brings them through, but the valley of Baca, which is known as like the Valley of Weeping, becomes this place where they can have springs of celebration, essentially. And even though it could be a place where, cool, it's a depressing place, because valleys are historically known as, or commonly, places of depression and like sadness and like not good things, essentially, in the Bible. And so it's just one of those things where you can know, like, when they're in their valley places, they're not in good spots.
Yeah.
But it's with his presence that it can be something amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what I really like about it.
I loved what you said when you were talking about how, like, obviously, like, earlier on in 84, and if you want to read all of 84, it's a great verse, or it's a great just book in general. Chapter.
Psalm, technically.
Yeah. And it's talking about, for those who dwell in the presence of God, he brings an increase, he brings strength, he brings joy, he shelters you, he protects you, and all of this stuff, right? And we see that throughout the majority of the Psalms. David and a lot of the psalmists, this one specifically being the sons of Korah, a lot of the psalmists speak about what it means to be in the presence of God. And it says, blessed are those whose strength is in you. And funny word, that word strength in the original language actually translates to joy. So it's interesting how, obviously, the joy of the Lord is our strength, right? And blessed are those who find their joy in the Lord, right? And then immediately after it says, who have set their hearts on your pilgrimage. So blessed are those who find joy in the mandated walk to the kingdom of God, right? The walk and the journey that all of us take to be in the presence in the kingdom of God. And then as they pass through the valley of Baca, which you touched on, it's the valley of weeping. A place of suffering, a place of brokenness, a place of trials and depression and whatever it may be, right? Not you don't want to be in the valley of Baca.
Not really.
But what's funny is as they pass through the valley of Baca, they make it a place of springs. Right? As they pass through this valley of weeping, because they have kept their joy in God and have kept their eyes on the destination and not so much the journey to get to that. I know a lot of people, it's not the destination, it's the journey. I feel like in our life, it's the destination.
It really is.
Right? In our life, the thing that you need to be focused on is heaven and God's kingdom. Because when those who are kingdom-minded, who have that kingdom mindset, seek first the kingdom, and God will add all these things to you, right?
It's interesting because when you do have your focus on the destination, it shapes how you live the journey.
Exactly. Yeah, that's such a oof.
Right?
Whoa.
Like I just like as soon as I said that, I'm like, oh hey.
Bill Johnson over here. All right. And then they go from strength to strength, right? Which seemed interesting to me, because it's like when you're in a valley, you're not strong, right? When you're in that place, when you're in the valley of weeping, you're not strong.
Right.
So what does it mean by going from strength to strength? And so as you look into it, the word strength here, is actually a different word than the original one, whose strength is in you, right? The joy of the Lord. Actually, no, it's not. That's what it was. So it's the same word for both.
Okay.
Who go from the joy of the Lord to the joy of the Lord.
That's good. Like in those dark times, you're going from joy to joy.
Exactly.
You're going from the goodness of God to the goodness of God.
Right. Which is what I love about this is it means that regardless of whether you are in the valley or you are on the mountaintop, your position towards God does not change.
That's good.
See, a lot of times I feel like we can be these Christians that are just like, oh, you know what? I'm doing real great right now, so I don't need God.
Yeah.
Right? But your life starts going downhill and everything starts to crash and burn, and all of a sudden you find yourself praying a lot more. Right? All of a sudden you find yourself being in the presence of God a lot more because you need Him.
Right.
Right? And what this is saying to us is that it is not about whether or not you're on the mountaintop. What matters is that you remain in the joy, in the presence of God. Do not change your position based on your circumstance.
That's good.
Let your position determine your circumstance.
That's good.
I mean, that was
really good.
Just jumping on it there.
Yeah.
Make it a
it.
place of springs.
Yeah.
Make it a place of springs. Because when you turn back and you look at the valley and you see the journey that you took, you'll realize that journey is actually a beautiful place because it brought me closer to God.
That's so good. It reminds me of a phrase I used to tell DJs as I would train them. Because as a DJ for a wedding, you are essentially the one in charge. You're the one making sure that everything is going and everything runs smoothly.
Yeah.
Or at least that's the propaganda that we tell all of our DJs. Really, I think it's true. But with that being said, though, we would always tell them you either make it happen or you let it happen. And that's kind of a lot with how this is you either let your life happen, you either let things happen to you, you can let yourself end up in the valley of Baca, you can let yourself stay in those places and stay in those valleys, or you can make life happen, you can make things happen, you can make sure that you have springs of joy, you can make sure that you are relying upon His strength, you can make sure that you are fixated upon Him rather than just kind of letting life happen.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest things is it's kind of like what we were just talking about a little bit ago. When you have that focus of where you want to be, you can know how to navigate your life. You can know this is how I want to make sure things happen when you're fixated on God.
That's so good. Make it happen, don't let it happen.
Exactly.
That's so good, man.
So good.
Well,
yeah.
With that,
thank
you guys again so much for watching these. We love hearing about your guys' lives, and please leave a comment. Tell us about a time where you felt like God was walking you through the valley.
That's good.
Tell us about a time where maybe you didn't think that you should have strength, but you actually felt the strength of God on your life. And if you haven't felt that, maybe you're in the valley right now.
Yeah.
And I just encourage you, lean into the presence of God. I know it sounds like the cheesy answer, but
it's the right answer.
It's the right answer. Lean into the presence of God and dive into His Word and just fill yourself with His Word, His presence, sermons, podcasts, whatever it is.
Coffees with Henry and Lance.
Coffees with Henry and Lance. And I promise you will start to see an encouragement and a joy build up in your heart. But with that, we love you guys.
We do.
And let us know. Let us know. Tell us in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe.
Yes.
Don't forget to slap the bell.
Oh, yes. And like the videos.
Like it and subscribe.
That one again. Yes.
That one. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and we hope that this was encouraging to you and that it built you up. Have an awesome Monday and just a great week.
Yeah. Have an awkward brunch.
Yeah. We'll see you guys Wednesday.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.